beat the beauty of the Highlands.
No, not at all, Rory. It's brilliant, isn't it? Beautiful. But let me try. Match day at the Global Energy Stadium.
Oh, absolutely, of course. And live on RCFC TV as well.
Yes, Ross County versus Dundee.
Can't wait.
Big night from Alfie Mackay. Steaming onto it goes the Arsenaloni. Harry Clark! It's sumptuous. It's outrageous. Callahan's in here. Big opportunity. And County have gobbled it up. Defensive shenanigans from the home side. Goes himself! It's a stunner! It's a rocket from Joseph Humble! Randall for 4! It's a Dundee demolition by the Staggies. It's Charles Cook again, wonderful. It's a Staggies symphony, and what a victory it is.
Thank you for joining us on RCFC TV, and welcome along to the Global Energy Stadium. Ross County playing in their first game since the 1st of December after last week's postponement at McDermott Park against St Johnstone. But back into the action. It's a huge game this afternoon against Dundee, one of the teams that are down there in the bottom half of the table. And I'm delighted to say, joining me as guests today, former Staggies player Richie Hart is here. Richie, thanks for coming.
Right.
And also, Michael, you're in luxury today, because after that little scene setter that we did at Lochanelan yesterday, we've got lights, we've got real cameras, we've got a camera operator. You're living it good today.
Yep, I don't know what to do, Rory.
Well, Richie, the club's looking in a good place right now with recent results, and it was all actually sparked by that game at Dens Park a few weeks back.
Yeah, they've been on a pretty decent run of late, but as of course Dundee have as well since that result. Dundee have put together some good results as well, so it'll make for a really interesting game today, because obviously Dundee will be coming up here wanting to avenge the 5-0. I think James McPake said it was his worst night in football, so he'll certainly have his team ready. But it's, like you said at the top program there, it's a massive game. More so for Ross County, I think, Michael, because they're still down there at the bottom. They're still a little bit detached, despite being on that good run. So it's really important that they get the win today.
Would it be a bit early in the season to say must win for Ross County?
There will be other opportunities in the course of the season, but I do think it's vitally important, like Richie was saying there, that not just for the points tally, but also for the psychology, that being on a good run, as we've spoken about, the game at Dens Park, you know, igniting that. The only loss in the last 5 is, you know, obviously against Rangers. That another 3 points, great for the confidence, and it then means that they're feeling like within touching distance of being able to get into the pack that are above them. Whereas if they lose the game, it starts to feel like we've been on a good run and we're now feeling detached. Can we get, you know, up in contact with those teams, which makes it very difficult. And you're playing the teams that are in and around you. You've got to be picking up points. It's not a must win, but very, very important that they get the 3 points.
Absolutely, and it took a while for Ross County to get their first win of the season. That did come against this afternoon's opponents a few weeks back at Dens Park, and well, look, any excuse to have a watch again. Here it is.
It's a huge match for Ross County. They're looking to earn that first Scottish Premiership win at the 11th time of asking this season. A couple of false starts, but we're off and running at Dundee. Jakubiti steps out, looks to hit Joseph Hungbo, who's left it for Harry Clark. Steaming onto it goes the Arsenaloni. Harry Clark! It's sumptuous. It's outrageous from Harry Clark. Ashcroft. A bit awkward for Legstons. He's been charged down by White. Callahan's in here. Big opportunity. And County have gobbled it up. Defensive shenanigans from the home side. And Ross Callahan takes gleeful advantage. Can County snatch a third? Humble goes himself! It's a stunner! It's a rocket from Joseph Humble, who has his first county goal in stunning fashion. Humble, Payton, Charles Cook again, helps it out to Ross Callaghan. What can he produce this time? Good save, Lexton's. Randall for 4! It's a rout! It's a Dundee demolition by the Staggies! Regan Charles Cook twists the knife, stirs the pot, and with 40 minutes played, incredibly, it's 4-0! That's brilliant from Clark, and he's bursting away again. And he drive County into a 5-goal lead. It's Charles Cook again, wonderful. It's a Staggy symphony. Charles Cook doubles up. And this thunderous performance continues apace. It's taken 11 long cinch Premiership games, but Malky Mackay has a victory as Ross County manager. And what a victory it is.
So 5-0 at Dens Park for Ross County. Their biggest ever top flight win. And it was really one of those games where everything seemed to fly in that 22-minute period when they scored 4 goals before half-time.
Yeah, it was a bit of a combination of some really poor defending from Dundee's side, but also some wonderful finishing from Ross County, in particular Harry Clark's goal and of course Humble's free kick. So yeah, they'll be hoping they can replicate that again today.
When you look at that 5-0, and I'm pretty sure that Malky will be looking at it and thinking you could take away 4 of those goals and chuck them into 4 other games and get up the extra points in those. But I do think a game like that and a result like that has exactly what Ross County are needing, something just to ignite the season. And yes, the last 5 games have been positive. 2 draws in the last 2 games against United and St Mirren. It does mean that getting 3 points here makes those 2 draws seem like good. We're getting more points. If you don't pick up any points today, it feels like there's points being lost in the last 2 games. So this just adds that extra bit of importance on this game to continue the run, but also to add those points that you got against United and St Mirren as being positive points rather than feeling like there's points dropped.
The coaching staff this week have been quite keen to play down that game, which I can understand, but in the backs of players' minds, will that night be in their thoughts?
Well, I think it's obviously shown what they're capable of, and we've seen enough of Ross County this season to know what they're capable of, especially in an attacking sense. Yeah. And in most of the games, they've created a barrel load of chances and should have been winning games more comfortably or picking up more points than they have done. So as long as they can continue to do that, and let's not forget as well, I mean, that game against Dundee where they won 5-0, there was huge pressure for Ross County going into that game. Yeah. And they dealt with it really well. They find themselves in a similar situation today where that pressure is there because Dundee have that slight points advantage over them. But again, as a player, they must be thinking, well, we've taken care of them already. We'll be expecting a little bit of fight back from them because of that. We'll be wary of that, but we know we've got enough to hurt them.
The big thing, there's no doubt Richie's spot on that Ross County players will feel like we're capable of beating them, but they have to make sure they don't gift anything to the opponents. And the number of games that I've seen from Ross County this season where, as Richie says, creating opportunities, they're in the game but then shooting themselves in the foot, and you can't continue to do that. That didn't happen at Dens Park, and everything came off of them in an attacking sense. But I was being facetious when I said that Malky would want to forget 4 of those goals and drop them into other games. But there is an element of that, because if you don't concede, Ross County will create enough chances to be able to get enough points that they're safe. But the big if is if they secure that back line, don't concede. And that's the big thing here today. Me looking at this game is strong back line, don't gift in the opponents, and we've got a wonderful opportunity then to go and get 3 points.
Well, of course, that game did spark this recent run that's had 2 victories, 2 draws, just the 1 defeat at Ibrox, culminating in their last game, which was away in Paisley to St Mirren.
Harry Payton midfield does really well. Ball into Callaghan. Out to Blair Spittle, been very productive this season. 4 goals he's got, Blair Spittle. Always favours to come back. Oh, and he just hits it over the bar with his left foot. I'm not too sure if there was a deflection there. This time it's Dominic Samuel goes through his left foot, back on his right foot. Oh, it's a great save by Jack Annick. Kyle McAllister loves being in the wide areas. 2v1 it was certainly for Counties to favour Connor. Ronan has the shot. Movement on the ball. It's clever play by Kyle McAllister. Ball comes in. How does that not go in?
Oh, what a save.
Yeah, you've got to say Maynard Brewer. County are really right in their luck. Don't want to get into a wrestling match with Curtis Main. The ball's through to Curtis Main. Best chance of the night so far. Can he? You've got to say, wonderful defending by Jack Baldwin. Doesn't have the pace to get away from Marcus Fraser. He's looking for support, waiting for Joseph Humbo. Harry Payton's in the centre. Can he move the ball out that? Blair Spittle. Is this the chance for County? It's a good save. Ball comes back out to Kincola. He has another strike. Wonderful double save by Jack Annick, and County, their best attack of the second half. Malcolm Mackay will be delighted with the clean sheet. Joseph Humbo just trying to show Marcus Fraser clean pair of fields. He wants back onto that left foot. Manages to dig out the cross. Jordan White gets across. Is it going to be a strike coming in from Harry Payton? Almost picked up the scraps. Well, the referee's had enough. David Dickinson. County earn a point on their travels.
Well, chances at both ends, really. Is that one of those games that either Jim Goodwin or Malky Mackay will be saying, oh, we should have got 3 points there?
Yeah, probably. I mean, looking at the chances, there's some good saves there. The good thing for me was that St Mirren didn't really have a lot of clear-cut chances, and I think that over the last few games, certainly Ross County have really improved at the back, and they're not giving away as many clear-cut chances as they did previously. You know, they've conceded 1 goal against Dundee United, didn't concede against Hibs either. You know, so they have improved in that area. As you said, scoring goals hasn't been a problem for them. But I think looking at the game, a draw was probably a fair enough result.
I don't think there's any question. You're right that Jim Goodwin and Malcolm Mackay would both look at that and say could have, should have, perhaps won the game. And in the cold light of day, they're probably thinking happy enough with a point. Then it comes back to what I've said before, this game here today, the importance of picking up the 3 points off the back of it, which then gives you a feeling of, okay, that was a positive point. Whereas I think to a certain extent as well as the disappointment of, you know, from Ross County's perspective with the game being called off against St Johnstone, because you want to, you know, desperately get back into another game, opportunity to get more points on the board. And for Ross County as well, you don't want to, you know, have games in hand but feel like you're adrift. You want to be getting points on the board. So that's why I think there was a real disappointment in the game last week. McDermott was called off, but you know, they've got the opportunity here against another side that's in and around them to go and, you know, put down a marker, and just to show the other teams as well that, look, this is a battle, it's a fight. Nobody's going to get cut adrift, and everybody's going to be, you know, in a real scrap to survive this season at the bottom end. I think if you look from, you know, what, maybe 7th place down, I think you realistically, I think Hibs are secure. So, you know, they're in 7th at the moment, so perhaps 8th down. Those teams are going to be all involved in it.
Well, let's just quickly have a look at the table, because it visualises all of what you're saying there, and it does just show the importance of this game today, because Dundee slightly ahead of Ross County, but they've got that game in hand on them. There's also that importance of not letting, you know, that worry that maybe St Johnstone pick up a win, Ross County don't, and then there's a gap and it starts to become a problem. But it was always going to take a little bit of time for this squad to gel after the number of players, Richie, that left and came in the summer.
Yeah, I think there was. I mean, it was a huge transition for the club on and off the park. You know, I spoke to the chairman before coming here today, and you know, he's delighted with how things are progressing with the club. And you know, when you bring in as many players as he has, it does take a little bit of time. And we said right from the start that, you know, there was a process, and it was a case of trusting that process and seeing where it takes you. That's starting to bear fruition now, and we can see that in the performances in general have been really good, and they're starting to put a little bit of consistency together now in terms of results, and you know, they need that to continue, especially as Michael said there, against these teams in and around you, your Dundees, your Livingstons, your St Johnstone. You know, the game in hand against Celtic, you know, that's a bit of free hit. That Ross County and Dundee's league's not going to be defined against the results that they pick up against the Old Firm. Anything they can get is great, as a bonus point. But you know, their cup finals are against these other teams that are in and around them, and that's what makes this game such a massive one today.
Well, looking ahead to a huge game, Malky Mackay came up to join me earlier, and here's what he had to say. Malky, big game today. How are you feeling ahead of it?
Yeah, we're obviously looking forward to it today, Rory. You know, it's going to be an interesting one for us. Dundee have come off the back of a good little run of games since we played them, actually. So we know the task ahead's not going to be straightforward as people are suggesting, because obviously with the last result. So no, we know that it's going to be a tough game today.
Was last week a little frustrating, trying to maintain that momentum that has been coming really since that game at Dens?
Yeah, and again, you know, the fact that it was such a late call-off, I think, was one that frustrated us as well, and the fact that really there was a tiny bit of the pitch that at 2 o'clock wasn't playable. But I do understand the referee's decision, and we just kind of move on. But again, it was that frustration that we didn't actually manage to get 90 minutes and get another chance to get 3 points.
I know you've said in your pre-match that the game at Dens has got no bearing on this one, but are there little tactical insights, maybe weaknesses that you've spotted that you think you can exploit again?
I think what it does is show us that off the back of that game, Dundee obviously had a good conversation with each other and actually went on a real good run of games. So that's what I'm looking at more than anything else in terms of how they're setting up now, how they're playing with the confidence they've got. So really the conversation with our guys is to make sure that we won't take anything for granted, but the fact that Dundee are coming here off the back of a very good run of games. So we know the task ahead is going to be difficult. I know that there's 6 or 7 teams in this league that can all beat each other on any given day, actually most teams. So that being the case, it's going to be a tough test for us today, like anyone in the division is. It's tight, and we've just got to make sure that we come out with the points. What are the strengths of that Dundee team that you will look to try and nullify? Yeah, they've become quite mobile in terms of they've changed things around up front. Mullen's gone up front who can run in behind and come off, and they've got 4 or 5 of the players now playing in a tight central area and play quite well together. So with Charlie Adam, always, if you give time and space in the ball, is always going to be a threat to anyone in the division as well. So that's the other things that we've got to make sure we counter today. As a former defender yourself, it must be nice to see some defensive stability out there. If you take the Rangers game out, 3 clean sheets in 4 games. Yeah, it's something we're striving for. We have to make sure that we don't concede goals. I think we're kind of 5th or 6th in terms of scoring goals in the division, but we defend as a team, attack as a team, and it's just making sure that we have got that stability, that we can keep a clean sheet. As I said, it's St Mirren game in last Wednesday night. I think we'd have lost that game at the start of the season, but there was a resilience in the second half that made sure that we stuck to the clean sheet, and it gives you a platform to work from. What's your team news ahead of kick-off? Everyone's fit and available, with the exception of Alex Yakoviti, who's out with a reasonably mid-term kind of hamstring strain now off the back of the St Mirren game, but full squad apart from that. Good luck, Malky. Thanks, Rory.
It's coming from the manager, and he's certainly looking to keep that momentum going that the team have had, and here's the 11 that Malky Mackay has selected today. As he mentioned there in his interview, a hamstring problem for Alex Yakoviti could see him out for a little while, so Keith Watson comes in his place. The only other change to the starting 11 from 10 days ago in Paisley sees Harry Clark come back in from suspension and Jake Vokins drops out. So that means that Conor Randall moves over to the left-hand side. But those are the only changes. So I guess there's a bit of continuity beginning to form in the side, Michael. That midfield and attack is exactly the same, and you've just got a slight shift in the defence. Yeah, but
and it's not only just the personnel, but I think there's, you know, for a while now there's been a continuity in terms of the system, and a recognition amongst the players of how Malky Mackay's wanting to play. And you're right, middle to front, it's been fairly consistent for large chunks. And defensively, obviously, they're just with Jakubity, his injury, and Keith Watson's got great experiences anyway, and I don't see there being a major issue there. And Clark coming back is an important one. I think he's been a real positive for Ross County. So that, look, when you look at it on paper, you say to yourself, look, that looks good. It looks like there's enough there to go and trouble Dundee. It's now about being able to go and transfer that out onto the park and actually executing the game plan and coming up with the points that we've already mentioned on numerous occasions are so important today.
That defence is vital, and if you take the Rangers game out, and I'll do it for Dundee as well because their 2 defeats are against Celtic and Rangers. I mean, they're in another financial league to everyone else in the league. So aside from the Rangers game for Ross County, they've conceded 1 goal in this run of 4 games, which is really impressive. And the one man that you didn't pick out there, but I know that you want to have a look at, is Jack Baldwin. He is a man that has been at the heart of that defence the whole season, coming in over the summer, and he's been a vital cog in the team, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think it took him a little while to settle, and I think, if I remember rightly, he had the blip against was it St Mirren, was it, when he let that one go over the top of him. But I think since then he's marshalled the defence really well. Obviously picked up the equaliser against Dundee United as well, so he's a threat at the other end as well. So it's good to see him performing as he is. See there, great defending, covering that front post area, and there's a bit of continuity now with that defence, which is vital. I mean, they've conceded 27 goals this season, but they seem to be moving in the right direction, which is a positive thing to hang on to.
And the thing is, seeing the St Mirren game, Jack Baldwin actually played quite well, but it was such a horrendous mistake at such a crucial point in the game as well, that of course that's going to draw your attention to it. But the important thing is that from that point, kicked on, and they have, as you quite rightly said there, started to nail things down in regards to not conceding too many goals, given the opportunity for the side to go and pick up those points. That is the key. It really is for me with Ross County. If they have a strong backline that's not gifting opportunities to the opponents, then you see it in the points tally as well. Conceding very few goals, they're picking up a lot of points, and that is going to be the same thing right throughout the rest of the season.
Further forward, David Cancola in the midfield has become a vital member of the team. Yeah,
well, he looks a very cultured midfielder, somebody that's comfortable on the ball, and he positionally, he's not going to be, certainly the games I've seen, he's not going to get dragged all over the park. He's somebody that looks like he's got a good football brain, and if you're wanting, especially games at home against teams that are in and around you, you're going to want and expect plenty of the ball. Then you need guys in the middle of the park that are going to get on the ball, knit the game together, and certainly David Cancola looks as if he is capable of doing that. And for him, it's an opportunity to kick on. He's been in and out the last couple of games. He's back into the side. It's another important game for him.
Well, let's now have a look at the Dundee team. It's only one change for James McPake's side. Max Anderson is in for Christy Elliott in the midfield again. Another settled team, and they've been on a good run. 3 wins out of 5 games, the 2 defeats, as I mentioned, to Celtic and Rangers. Richie, what's working with this team at the moment? What do you like in there?
Well, I think, they've got some great experience in there, clearly, with McGowan and Adam in there. Mullins found his feet lately with some goals. But the key players for me there are Adam, McGowan and McMullen. We all know what Charlie Adam's capable of. If you give him too much time on the ball to go and pick passes, he can pick people out 50, 60, 70 yards, and he can cause you all sorts of problem. He may not be getting about the pitch as much, but as some people say, but actually looking at some of his stats that I've seen, he's getting around that pitch. So, Ross County have got to be aware of that, and they will be aware of the threat that he carries. I think McGowan, another guy that's been around for a long time, very good in the ball, and McMullen, who's very, very direct as well. So they carry a threat. They've got some firepower on the bench as well, obviously, with Cummins and Griffiths, who can come on, and we know what they're capable of. So that's what I think today. it's all about the start for Ross County. That first goal for me is going to be crucial today, and if County can get it and build on that, then hopefully they can go on and take the 3 points.
Rory, the one thing I was just going to say about Dundee is, you know, if you look at the back end of last season when they went through the playoffs and got up, and Cummins dropped at the side and Mullen came back in, he's a nuisance up the top end of the park. So, you know, Watson and Baldwin in the centre of defence, it's not going to be easy for them. He is effervescent, he's non-stop. They need to make sure that, you know, we know Charlie Adam picking players out. Mullen is running non-stop. They need to, you know, snuff that out to give them an opportunity as you see the run here of, you know, Dundee scoring. Well,
Richie makes a really good point, because there are much bigger names on that bench. Jason Cummings, Lee Griffiths, and he's keeping them out of the team.
Yeah, and that's great for Danny Mullen. I mean, that's what the manager will want. You want the competition. It's a case of, if you come into the squad and you do well, then you'll stay in. It's hard for him to leave Danny Mullen out at the moment because of the goals that he's picked up. But again, it must be equally frustrating for McPake to have the quality of Cummings and Griffiths on the bench, when he would really, when you're looking at that, think, if you're a manager and you've got that kind of firepower, you want them to be playing, but they're not doing enough at the moment to get in the team, and Danny Mullen's got the shirt, and rightly so.
Ultimately, you want somebody at the top end of the park who's going to put the ball in the back of the net, and you know, I think everybody recognises that Cummins and Griffiths are technically better players, but it's good to have them on the bench to call them upon. And at the moment, Danny Mullen deserves to be in that position.
Eagle-eyed supporters will have noticed that all of those goals were at Dens Park. However, Dundee have struggled on the road. They've actually got the worst record in the league away from home, just 4 points picked up. We were going to look at a bit more on Charlie Adam, a bit on Liam Fontaine coming back to Dingwall, but sadly we've run out of time because kickoff is fast approaching, and we'll be back with you shortly.
As a family-owned business, Norscot understand the need for stability, security and comfort. That's why every timber frame kit we supply is built with these in mind. Providing great design flexibility, our homes are entirely customisable to your needs. And with a wide range of adaptable set and bespoke designs on offer, your budget is not a limitation. To find out more, email info@norscot.co.uk. Norscot, proudly serving customers throughout the UK since 1984.
When I hold the card, I'm standing with my family.
When I hold the card, I'm standing with my teammates.
When I hold the card, I'm standing with my neighbours.
When I hold the card, I stand with my brothers and sisters.
We're standing with everyone who's had to endure racial prejudice in their lives.
Racism comes in many forms, some clear, some more subtle.
It affects not just the victim, but friends, families and entire communities.
No one is born with it, and tolerance is taught, but it can be untaught.
To bring about change, we can't be afraid to take the first step. We fail when we fail to try.
We are supporting Show Racism the Red Card, our education charity.
Now more than ever, they need your support to give our future generation the tools to challenge prejudice, hatred and discrimination.
It's not enough to be not racist, we all must be anti-racist. Education is the key.
and gas, power generation, and heavy industry all rely on the safe and continuous operation of their high voltage networks. The demand on these industries is continuously increasing, and the need for an electrical supply without interruption is critical. Contact us today to find out how we can provide 24/7 PD monitoring solutions for you. Founded in 2006 with headquarters in the UK and locations around the world, we have developed cutting-edge PD monitoring and testing technology to ensure your high-voltage networks are safe and reliable, avoiding dangerous and costly unplanned outages. Contact us today to find out how we can provide 24/7 PD monitoring solutions for you.